Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Squat Cobbler. I'm Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram.
And I am Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a comment, buy a t shirt, send us nudes.
Oh, good. That's new. that was that's a new
Figure I'd
piece
throw it
for
out
our
there, see
introduction.
what
New,
happens.
new piece to our introduction. Might be a caption there for folks just to clarify. It's not cleared by Kelly.
That was totally Kelly approved
send,
prior to the episode.
send the doctor.
It barely even counts if you send them to me. I am a medical professional influencer.
Allegedly. I do think you need to start putting the alleged in front of it. I am an alleged medical professional. Just and you don't have to say that you're the only person making that allegation, but you are. So, as much as we'd like to explore Mike's medical bona fides a little bit more, this week we are going to talk about something I wasn't really that familiar with until Mike sent me some information on it, and I started looking a little bit more. We've mentioned Cool Toy. We did a show that was a spin off of a video that the Cool Toy YouTube channel put out about a tabletop pinball machine. And so we did kind of show on that. Cool Toy always has great content. He did a kind of related show on some upcoming releases related to this. And what we're talking about is the Numskull quarter arcades, which are pretty cool little things, really interesting. And so until and I think we're getting some of the buzz on them now because of the upcoming announcements or the announcements of some of the new cabinets are going to be putting together. But were you familiar with these, Mike, before the last couple of weeks?
Yes. Yeah, I knew they existed. I hadn't delved too deeply into it, though. Yourself, sir?
Not at all. I really didn't have much familiarity with it at all. So maybe you can educate me a little bit more. I get a little bit of the play on words on quarter arcade and that idea. But if my sense of dimension is right, I know that on past shows I've used an iPad as a unit of measurement and whether you could punch somebody as a unit of measurement. So I know I'm not really the most qualified person to talk about distance and measurement, but these things look really cool. But if I took four of them, which I'm assuming is a quarter, if I put four of them together, I'm nowhere near an arcade.
It doesn't seem that way to me at all. It looks like they're a few feet tall.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah. I know one of the selling points of them though is that they are supposedly, of course, scaled down, but identical recreations of the original arcade cabinets, which up until recently, so of course, with Eck Games and iArcade, they both have their own form factor because they're meant to be multi-cade systems. Arcade One Up more recently has been they do 3/4 scale typically. And more recently, their cabinets have started to mimic the form factor of the original cabinets. But initially, they all kind of had the same look. They had the artwork of the original cabinets, but were basically a uniform cutout pieces for the cabinets themselves. Now, again, that has changed. They have the Street Fighter 2 Big Blue coming out. They have the sit-down cabinets and things like that. So they do more closely mimic the original releases now. But apparently, these smaller than quarter, I feel it's fair to say, like you said, they supposedly are the scaled down but identical recreations of the cabinets.
Yeah, so I found them real interesting. And there are titles you'd expect: Galaga, Pac-Man, amongst others, and you look at them and they look remarkably accurate, all the way down to what's important to many, a coin slot. That there's that's present, which I still has kind of eluded both Mike and I why that's such a big thing. But they're there on these, and they look like they've done a remarkable job in trying to truly replicate it, the particular arcade thing. So that part's pretty cool. And I guess the one big plus size is plus of it is if you don't have a lot of room, you could build a true mini arcade because they're mini, and have quite a few of these lined up pretty easily, and just kind of fill a whole bar top with them, which would be kind of a cool look.
I think that's one of the reasons I kind of veered away from it too. Well, as you know, I'm building an actual arcade
Yep.
in the offices here, but also, uh, regardless of the size, that's one of those things where I could see myself, especially looking at these new releases. We talked recently about the bar tops that are coming out, the countercades from Arcade One Up, and how that's really the first time I've been kind of looking at a bar top to get something for upstairs, which is more of the living space, that floor. Something like this would be perfect up there too. The problem is these do look really cool. And unlike getting, say, a bar top NBA Jam that I could throw somewhere up there, if I got one of these, the collector in me might kick in and I might have like 10 of these, then it becomes problematic.
Yeah, it would, because they also have, and maybe we do a show on this sometime, and I'm going to probably butcher the pronunciation, so you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but the Polybus video game, they actually have a replica of that. What we have seen most recently is in Loki. Sorry, spoiler, folks, but in one of the variant universes or the actual holding pen towards the end, there's a Polybus system there, and this is that same one. And so, which would be, to me, that was the one right now. If I was going to start, that would be it. I'd be interested what version, because there's a big history behind that. We'll include a link to one of the many kind of documentaries that covers this video game, alleged video game, this mythical video game. But that was one, just because they do look so cool, and that game has such a cool backstory, that I'd give it pretty serious consideration.
Yeah, that's what introduced me to their quarter arcades. When that was announced, they were initially doing that quite a while back. I did look into that. That's something that I think once the studio is kind of a little more finished in here, my main desk here, I could see that sitting on a corner of the desk easily.
Yeah, I might, and if they happen to eventually come to do a Joust one, that would be pretty interesting to see. I do wonder a little bit how gameplay is on these, because while incredibly well constructed, they are small.
Yeah.
And Mike has established that he has big monster hands. There's t-shirt.
I was just about to say it again. Big monster hands.
That's right. T-shirt
Not
available.
Sure how I work on these.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to see on that. So I'm a little bit worried on playability, but just even for the aesthetic, that'd be just kind of a cool thing to get. But the reason there's been a little bit of buzz about this is that there are several new cabinets coming out soon, and which include a couple Ninja Turtle ones, which I assume would be on the short list for you, and a couple versions of Space Invaders, which would be, again, accurate to whichever version of Space Invaders they're looking to do. And then the one was a big surprise to me and had my head scratching initially, was a Pepsi machine. And again, I'm going to have to give props to Cool Toy. In watching his video, he's surmising, they provided no context what it would be, but apparently these are all either they're battery powered, but you can charge it up with a USB, is my understanding. And this would be the idea, to use the very screen accurate Pepsi machine as a USB hub, that you could have your whole row, and just like in a real arcade back in the day, where there'd be a soda machine amongst the system. It makes perfect sense. Fantastic way to hide that USB thing, but I don't believe it will actually dispense any beverage for you.
I would love to see tiny Pepsi.
That would be pretty cool. I don't know what your other options were, because you probably the claw game couldn't, it's going to need power to do it. So I think if you're doing a USB hub, a soda vending machine is perfect, fantastic idea, and would look really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's a shame it's Pepsi though.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of Coca-Cola stuff here. You can't see it in the background of mine or Kelly's screen.
Nope.
But there's a lot of Coca-Cola branded stuff here. We have a Coca-Cola mini fridge in our merchandise room for people who are packing merchandise and stuff. Throw some drinks in there. There's Coca-Cola metal signs around here. We have Coca-Cola napkin dispensers. Basically, like if you gathered it all together, there's a 1950s diner in this house. So the Pepsi thing kind of is off-brand for me, but I love the idea of it.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the Pepsi rights were cheaper. It had to be. I'm sure they would have gone for Coke originally, but I'm sure Pepsi's probably an easier get. If they had been too pricey, it'd have been Royal Crown. Sorry, Royal Crown fans, but I'm not sure who I've offended there, but I'm sure I've offended somebody.
If they really wanted to go for authenticity, they should have done a cigarette machine.
Yeah, that'd have been good. They could dispense the candy cigarettes back in the day. Because yes, there used to be. Yeah, I keep making references to stuff that people have no idea ever existed. But they used to actually sell candy cigarettes, kids. Yes,
so you pretend to smoke just like your parents.
That's right. If your parents smoked sugar-covered toothpicks or whatever these things were. Yeah, it was back in the day. I mean, in little cigarette packages, little cartons. It was.
Yeah, they even had the tips of them were red,
yep.
So that looks like you were smoking.
Yep. So you could be cool like your parents, but yeah. Another completely useful reference for folks. Maybe I'll be able to find an image or two to share on the video as well to acquaint people.
I absolutely loved candy cigarettes.
They were. It was like the Pixie sticks, which is just basically let's color some sugar and sell it as a candy.
Pixie sticks are amazing. It's when they just gave up and they were just like, here's sugar. It's a packet of sugar.
But look, it's a different color.
Yeah.
So doesn't it taste like something else? Oh, it's just sugar. But yeah, that was just let's get a straw and fold both ends over and sell it. And it did. So yet another reference that a lot of people can. Although Pixie sticks, I think, are still around.
So candy cigarettes actually in like mom and pop like specialty candy stores, you will come across those.
Oh my! I really assume that market had dried up. That's a shame. Yeah. Yeah, and maybe folks, it won't be on the retro gaming playlist, but maybe on the regular Squawk Cobbler podcast. Mike and I can do an expose on give the history of the candy cigarette. Sure, that'll be a real bell ringer for a lot of folks.
I don't know if I mentioned it on here, but I remember there was a toy store near where I grew up when I was a kid, where I used to play arcade games inside the toy store. And they sold cigarettes, like real cigarettes, in a kid's toy store. So it was a pretty lawless wasteland back in the day, guys.
Yes, it certainly was. For more historical reference, watch Mad Men. I guess you can start to get an idea how things used to be. So before we go into any more nostalgia, these look really cool. I think there's a bunch of new ones coming out. If any of the folks watching this have experience with them and want to kind of help enlighten potential buyers, Dr. Mike and I, on playability, reliability.
I really need to hear more about it, how the gameplay works, especially with my monster hands. And I'm specifically curious to see what they do with Turtles in Time, because as you've seen with my cabinet here, those are 4-player games.
Yep.
So I'd imagine the controls are getting even more squished then, or you're cutting 2 of the players out entirely.
Almost. I don't see any way you could do 4 players on that form. If it was the existing form factor, and I think they're all staying at whatever scale they're at, which we skeptically do not believe is 1/4. Whatever scale that happens to be, I they're going to stay at that because that's the way you line them all up and they look right. I don't see how that scale works up for 4 players. I mean, you can pull off 2, but you better like each other a little bit because I think you're going to be a little snug playing that, but we'll have to see. And then I'm guessing too, you could probably stack 5 of these bad boys on an Atari Fight Stick and it would kind of fit there. So, but I mean, pretty awesome decoration that's also then playable. Pretty interesting. If I do go this route, I probably would end up getting 2 of them and the Pepsi machine because I just think that's a fantastic idea, and find a place for it because I think it'll be good. I'll have a lot of explaining to do, but I think that's what I'd want to do.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. You guys should definitely leave comments. Let us know what you think of these, especially if you've played them. I would love to hear what the play experience was like on this.
And what are the odds you want to put on the fact that when and I know some folks may bring to our attention, hey, maybe do the research before the show next time, but just roll with us on this. If we find out these are actually truly 1/4 scale, what do you think the odds are that we're just completely wrong and these are truly 1/4 scale?
Slim.
You think you're slim? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we'll do a little bit of work to see how it goes. But again, we'll let I think consistent with Mike and my work ethic, we're going to have you do the work, folks. So in the comments,
you guys tell us.
You straighten us out if we're wrong. You do that. Do the math. Explain to us why we're wrong, and we'll go from there. So we'll see. All right, cool. Well, that's fun. Thanks for watching, folks. We sure hope you enjoyed it, and we really appreciate you watching. So thanks.
Thanks, everyone.